if I can start a tiny bit before getting there. So with the flight and everything, we left Provo in a really really early hour and started driving up to Salt Lake. And I remember it was really special being out in the world, even though it's still Salt Lake. Being out in the world with the tag on, getting to the airport, being like, oh my gosh, like I'm really a missionary now. Like everyone's looking at me. We had 9 weeks in the MTC, so I know there's some that are longer or shorter, but for us, that seemed like a long time to be separated from the world. And it was interesting. We spoke, enough Polish to kind of understand a little bit what was going on, and so getting on the flight, there was one leg of the flight that was I believe, from France to Poland. It was on a Polish airline, and I guess my carry-on didn't fit in the compartment, and so I kept trying to shove it up there, and this lady kept talking to me in Polish, and I had no idea what she was saying, so I was just smiling, and I was like, it's gonna fit. Finally, I stick it under my seat, and she tried to tell me that I couldn't have it under my seat, and eventually she just stopped trying. And so I sat down, and they had one of the guys, like in really official looking attire, sit next to me. I think either because they thought I was someone scary, or I don't know. He sat next to me the whole flight. It was a short flight, but he sat there and he just kind of read his newspaper and glanced over me every few seconds to make sure I wasn't doing anything. And finally, when we got closer to Warsaw, I got up the courage to start talking to him, and we had this little conversation. And then when I was getting off the plane, trying to get my suitcase back out again, I could hear him talking with this lady, and I remember understanding him. He was just like, oh, no, 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 don't worry. He's not scary. He's a nice boy. He just doesn't speak Polish at all. And I was like, great, my first day in the country, and they think I'm a terrorist. But from there, we went and we met our mission president. I had the special opportunity to meet him in the MTC. So we were his first group coming in the mission. It was the mission president he had just changed. And so I got to meet him in the MTC. And I remember meeting him. He'd been released from being an Area 70 in South Africa. He was an Englishman to come be our mission president. And I remember just meeting him in the MTC, just a really overwhelming feeling of, this is who the Lord wants you to serve under. And there'd been a lot of questions with me with the timing of when I should leave, whether I should do a year of school or whatever it might be. And I finally felt like that was part of the reason why Heavenly Father had me leave when I did, was specifically to serve under this mission president. And so I was really excited to get back into Poland and actually be with him again. We had been away from him for a couple weeks as he left early. And so for us in our mission, at least back then, the tradition was you get into the country, you drop all your stuff off, you meet the mission president, his wife, and they give you a quick tour of where the chapel is, where the mission office is in Warsaw. And then we'd go out on what we called a tabling event, I guess. He called it a sing-song on the Rynek. The Rynek is the old town. That's the word for the old town, or the market square in the center of the town. So usually really, really old buildings. It's been preserved, really pretty. And so we went there, and we paired off with some of the assistants or office elders, whoever it might be, and just, did missionary work for a little bit. Just tried, they'd start a conversation and have us try to contact people and talk with them, and it was really scary, but it was really fun. I remember that. And so I got with this one elder, Elder Hicks, and he said, okay, what do we want our goals to be? I said, okay, well, I want to give away a Book of Mormon. He's like, okay, let's do it. And looking back now, after being there for a while, that's not something we would do on a regular basis very quickly, in a quick conversation. Usually if we had a comeback appointment or something. But we said a prayer together, we went off and started talking to people, and it was great. We found someone who listened to us. He was not from Warsaw. He was visiting from another city with his son, and he was really interested. And unfortunately, we didn't have missionaries in that city at that time, but he took a Book of Mormon. He said he'd read it. And so we got his contact information, and I just remember this really, really cool feeling of how exciting it was to be there, and just taking the spirit from the MTC. I think that was a great thing, is after that, whenever new groups would come in, it was always exciting because they would just bring fire from the MTC, and they were so excited, and they're just like, no, there's no reason why we couldn't teach. There's no understanding or expectation that people might not listen, whether it's in Europe or anywhere else. They're just like, of course people are going to listen to us, and so you're just that much more on fire to teach. So I remember it was a really cool experience to to go out and have that goal. And it was kind of special because later, towards the end of my mission, as I was back in Warsaw going out with similar groups, I remember one elder had the same type of goal. And now I was on the other end thinking, well, we can try, elder, but I didn't say that. I was like, all right, that's your goal. The same sort of thing. Just when you really, I found at the beginning of my mission, when you really throw yourself into the work, even not really being able to speak Polish, thinking like, is this the language they taught us? Miracles would happen and people would listen. And I remember that was really special.